Hey, thanks for tuning in. In this video, I'm going to introduce the Lanz Bulldog in group build up the tractor step by step, paint and weather it, and a final reveal at the end. There are chapter markers below for your convenience. I picked this one for a civilian group build on the Kits and Bits Discord server. Something produced or employed during wartime, but in civilian use and scheme. Over 220,000 of these were made over its run. The Bulldog is almost synonymous with tractor in Germany. It had a single-cylinder hot bulb engine that was very dependable and easy to maintain. The one I built up is a 1938 model that looks like it was used for tilling and whatnot. I'm going to skip the inbox review, there are a lot of those already. Let's jump straight into the build. In step 1, we join the rear halves of the main body. This is my first Miniart kit, and it's really well engineered. Ease of part prep was just above average, but for the most part the fit was great. I joined the halves together first and then attached the two bolts or rods. Tidied up the seams with Mr. Surfacer 1000. In step 2, you basically do the same with the front portion. Wasn't so easy that time. I'm lucky that didn't break. In this step, you bring most of the main body together. Just a little trimming to get stuff flush. They have different alignment pins, so you can't get them wrong. So that happened about 5 times before I was like, this isn't going to work. In this step, you basically cap the ends. This is the bulb at front. To start the engine, you heat up that bulb until it's hot enough to cause combustion. So that small control rod had 5 connections to clean up, before probably snapping on me. Instead, I used similar diameter copper wire. I only had to do this twice on the model. This is the engine housing. After trial fitting, I found it was best to start at the back plate, then the sides, then the front. So you can notice now, I gave the main body and the housing a first coat of Mr. Surfacer 1500. I did some sanding cleanup, and we'll prime the whole thing again once it's all built up. So it calls for making 3 of these little pipes at the front. This is what I used. For the first one, I used an awl and bit to make a hole I could secure one into. The last one's a little off, but it worked okay. I think I attached everything here except the exhaust, which I did up and added at the end. The main wheels are 5 pieces each. The indexing between the 2 main halves were minuscule. There's indexing at each of those tabs. Now for the painting. I reprimed with Mr. Surfacer 1500. Then for chipping, I covered it with metallic gray. To break that up a little, I put on some random spots of whole red and black chrome. This will give some tonal variety when I chip. For the base color on the tractor, I've used anthracite gray, 50% with Vallejo thinner. I've painted the wheels Vallejo German red-brown, and then a light coat of hairspray. For chipping, I use a dry brush. It works great. I usually add some water to a small area to get it going. I clean off the brush before putting it back in the water. Otherwise, you end up applying a filter at the end. Alright, chipping is down on the wheels. Now to weather them. I'm going to add some washes, then pigments, and then a grease effect. I've saved the rest of the pigments for the tractor. I'm using what's on the glove to highlight the wheel bolts, etc. I add this sparingly to where grease might be, just for a subtle effect. Let's start on the tractor. I went heavy on the chipping. I thought by spring of 1945, after years of total war, the only thing they might have cared about or even able to do was just keep the things running. I could be wrong.
And as for this cabbage,
This is a copper I've added 20% metallic gray to. I fussed with those until I was finally done with the build. I couldn't get them to look just right. That's Vallejo Dark Rust, reduced with 75% Vallejo thinner so it would wick in. When you look at pictures, the lower half was either coated with black or heavily rusted. So I added the decals and didn't press record. That's AK wash for light gray, thinned 50% with mineral spirits. The old pixie dust. This is going to make the raised details pop a bit. This is that pigment mix. I have pigment fixer, but I wanted it to look dusty. I went a little heavy, some will come off naturally over time. I blew off the excess. Then for the grease effect. Finally, the other piece went on. So these were the fiddliest parts, the wheels. I finally just turned the camera off and got them done. Microsol will gently lift up Vallejo paint. It might be the vinyl that's in it. I painted the PE part in the same Vallejo anthracite gray. I wet a Q-tip with Microsol. I removed the excess and lightly moved it across the surface, and voila. This is my range of rust paints. For the exhaust, I'll be using the dark, regular, and light rust. The base coat is Tamiya Whole Red. If you dab it on, when it dries, it creates a subtle, spotty look. I first sponge on some medium rust. Then some light rust. And a little black line wash. I added a dark rust wash to the top. I came down too far, I think. Then some Mr. Hobby smoke. Finally sponging on some NATO black. Alright, here are the glamour shots. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Be well and happy modeling.